To address this item, please come up and state your name for the record.
My name is Joyce Richards, and I live on Stevens, which is to the southwest. And I would just like to reiterate that 10 structures are just too many on that piece of property and not at all comparable to the single-family homes that surround that area. And it seems that common sense should dictate that putting that much brick and mortar and parking in that little area is not good for the lot itself, nor for the surrounding properties. More is not always better. In this case, reason should dictate that less is better. Infill is a good thing, but overfill, no. Thank you.
Thank you.
Aubrey Shepherd again. What's the word I use it for? Wetland. That is a wetland. It's another. Most things that aren't rocky and steep around Bedwell are wetland. Or they're seasonal wetland. Well, in that case, I believe I've seen that property when that water was running off of there and behind there. And you can't, unlike somebody I heard in some public meeting a couple of months ago say, well, we can pipe water, we can. I said, what? Yeah. You can't pump all the water out when there's heavy rain. So you've got to prepare. You've got to keep enough good soil like we have on these prairies to absorb water. It goes down, it gets filtered, it goes into the stream. You just can't keep putting that many pieces of property on. So that's the one let's see, it's in there where the CUP is. Okay, that's a house, and it's got outbuilding in the back. People live in a garage apartment type thing, maybe, not that. But it is a full acre or more, right?
Yes.
The trees on it in that purpose. Yeah, we looked at that a little over 20 years ago. And because Lauren didn't understand that there would never be development across the street, she didn't want to buy it. It was $60,000. We were making $8 an hour each.
Okay.
But we know how to live cheaply, and we could have bought it. It wouldn't be going now. It'd be in a land trust.
Yeah.
If I were dying or selling it.
Okay.
I promise. So we've got to start thinking more about reality and not things that people have talked about in the past that sounded good then. But the reality in this city is karst underground and good soil on the surface where there is some.
Thank you very much. Is there any more public comment? Seeing none, I bring it back to the commissioners.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Chesser.
We all the commissioners get a little plaque when we leave, and I wish I could give it to Aubrey Shepherd. I always appreciate his comments. Although, even though I agree with them in some ways, I disagree with them in others. While I would like to preserve as much wetland and prairie as we can, I guess I follow the philosophy that the best way to do that is by densifying the city that we have instead of expanding to the outside. I think that in fact, I'm going to go back to something that Mr. Garner said earlier about the development pattern of the city historically and how it's happened. I feel like decades of RSF4 post-war kind of got us used to a very suburban, not quite rural, but very, very lightly populated development plan. And I think that continued densification is actually in the best interests, not only of the city from a walkability standpoint, but for the surrounding countryside also. As an urban area densifies, it brings people in instead of spreading out to greenfield development, and hopefully that some of those greenfields that had been developed in the past can be returned to a prairie state. We lower the amount of traffic, fossil fuel burning, etc. So I'm very much in favor of this. I was happy when we passed the cottage ordinance in the first place. I hope that the applicants can work out the minor issues they have. I, of course, would like to see them preserve as many trees on site as possible. That is a lot of buildings in one place. It did appear that they're trying to do so. I hope you can get your minor issues worked out, and I'd be happy to vote for it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
So does that mean you'd be willing to make a motion to table this item as requested?
Sure. I move that we table CUP 15-5202 until the November 23rd, 2015 meeting of the Planning Commission.
Thank you. Have a motion to table the item that's our next meeting, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
To our next meeting by Commissioner Chesser and a second by Commissioner Cook. Mr.
Madam
Carter-
Chair.
Oh, excuse me. Mr. Hoffman?
Just real fast, I just wanted to add that I'm also excited to vote for this. I think that this is a great project, and I hope you guys can get it worked out. Sorry, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry.
Cook.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
I did want to make a comment about the drainage, because we had a few years ago a project just down the road from this where they tried to put a few houses on it, and it created some pretty bad drainage situations. So drainage will be a very important figure on this development. I'll have to say that because it was. Yep, you remember it too. Yep. So yeah, I just want to say that the drainage is going to be an issue. So. Oh yeah.
Were there 3 houses?
I can't remember how many now, but 4, 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion by Commissioner Chesser and a second by Commissioner Cook to table this item. Mr. Garner, would you please call the roll?
Autry?
Yes.
Hoskins?
Yes.
Jesser?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Cook?
Yes.
Hoffman?
Yes.
Bunch?
Yes.
Noble?
Yes.
Selby?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Our next item is, is it this one? Okay. Is rezone 155223, the southeast corner of West MLK Boulevard and Stadium Drive, Stadium and Railroad. Mr. Thompson, would you please give us the staff report on that?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. This is a 2.5 acre parcel currently zoned RMF 24 along MLK, just west of the railroad bridge. It's an unusual shaped site. It's narrow, it's bounded on one side by a railroad, a stream bank, a significant amount of wetland, and a trail, railroad buffer, trail buffer, I guess, easement on the south side, and a principal arterial all along the front, which there's a great deal of frontage. So it's a long and narrow site. Kind of creates some unusual development challenges for the applicant. The applicant is requesting that this property be rezoned from RMF 24 to CS. They came to us seeking that designation. They really appreciate the fact that this form-based zone could allow them to build their buildings close to the street, move their buildings and parking lots as far away as they can from stream bank. In our opinion, this is a compatible land use with the area. Across the road, we have institutional use, the new high school over there. Again, a railroad on the east. South side is a multi-use trail. Some single-family residential, approximately 200 feet to that nearest home. And we feel that this mixture of commercial to the west, commercial, institutional, and residential would be compatible with this use. It allows wide range of commercial activities, as you know, as well as residential if they choose to go that way. So we feel that it is compatible. It does also match up nicely with our 2030 future land use plan. It's designated as a city neighborhood area. Again, very dense, wide range of possibilities are encouraged to their traditional town form. So the zone they're seeking lines up again very nicely with that. So we think it's compatible with land use and the future land use map. We think it's justified to create more opportunity here to develop this very unusual site, and we're recommending that you forward this to the City Council with your recommendation of approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Is the applicant present?
George Duquesne with Blue and Associates. We concur with the with staff's recommendation, and we're here to answer any questions you may
Okay,
have.
thank you. We'll call you back up if we have any. Is there any member of the public that would like to address this item?
Wetlands.
Well,
Wet.
this is the only thing that's on the agenda I knew was on the agenda at the time, so. I'm nice and didn't talk about every item, okay? Because there's something else to be said on just about everything that comes up. But we're looking where the yellow button is. You know what runs right over that yellow button from downtown?
Wetlands.
That means, if you haven't seen this lot, you can't vote on it. Honest to goodness, why would you? Why would you dream of voting on something you hadn't studied the land yourself? Anyway, I know you're all busy, you have jobs, but do you remember the apartments that are built up here? That power line
Yes.
comes over that yellow thing, and it goes up between those. And they were allowed to build that close to it. And one guy got electrocuted on the lift truck. And not too long before that, or after that, wasn't it? Another man in that karst geology of that hilltop caved in. He went down in a hole to dig it out. Got covered up and died. Apartments downhill over where it's now called Stadium Drive. Those apartments with the gray tops immediately to the left of Stadium Drive. A mistake was made and water ran through the old storm drains or the old sewer lines from on top where they'd attached them, flooded all of those 4 apartments there, and people had to move out and sort of move back in a long time afterward. This is stuff you don't even know all of it because it wasn't all publicized like those deaths were. But nothing should be built under one of those power lines within 100 feet, 200 feet, whatever. It happens those power lines have been put over some old neighborhoods in town, and they haven't crashed into those, but they were built and then they were turned on. So unless there's another plane crashes, hits that power line somewhere. But that's not the space to build them. Those trees that you see around there are in wetland. You see the town branch, which if you go back to the 1930s and 40s and 50s, the named stream town branch came off the university campus. The university's renamed part of it Mullins Creek, the portion that comes straight out under the football stadium and then under the basketball stadium, Mullins Creek, after a former president or provost or whatever he was called back then. And a portion of the water that comes off the other part and joins it comes from the west Markham Hill, and they named it City Creek, I don't know, what is it? But anyway, the two of them come together in what used to be the married student housing. What was that? Designed by a great architect. Yes. Okay, so what I'm saying is, how could you, what, are you gonna allow timber to be removed out there, or just let them build it under the power line? I mean, it's,
That's really not part of a rezoning decision, that'll be a development decision. We're just talking about rezoning tonight.
okay, well, almost every item you talk about, when rezoning's up, that's the situation, I understand that. But the potential damage, just a few blocks downstream, 100 yards in front of my house, all the street floods. Now, all those streams have been dredged a little and banks denuded and so forth. Just recently, because of complaints of neighbors downstream from my house, finally the city responded and the state highway department responded, and they cleaned out silt under 15th Street where the town ranch goes,
Mr.
where
Shepherd.
this water's going. Well, let me get, I'll be right. Silt off of everything that's developed up there comes down a stream. And it clogs up under like 15th Street and these other crossings. And then people get flooding because of the backup from it. So everything downstream needs to be considered. How's it going to affect people downstream? How is it going to make property livable down there? You can sell it no matter how it's going to be treated. But it's a steep hill on this side of the river. So that's obviously would be crazy to try to, maybe they want to build on that too. Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shepherd.
There's more on the agenda.
Is there any more public comment? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commissioners.
Sure.
Commissioner Cook.
Beat you.
Okay.
Just a quick question for staff. Can you build a parking lot under community services? Don't got a building.
It would be a conditional use permit, you could do a standalone parking lot.
But you could do it under
You
community.
could do it.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
This body has turned down that parking lot in the past.
No, that's why I'm asking.
Madam Chair,
Hey, we got this, kid.
Commissioner Chesser.
whose item is this? I'm sorry.
Mr. Thompson.
Quinn, where's the stream on that? Is it to that Mr. Shepherd was talking about? I think it's the back, isn't it?
See the south side that's curving?
Yeah, it goes along there, doesn't it?
It goes along there. You
Okay.
can see, if you look, right there is the drain, right there's a
Yeah.
bridge crossing there.
That's what I thought I remembered it. The one thing I wanted to note that it's currently zoned oh, he left. Shoot. Well, I'll leave it for public record and if he wants to watch it. It's currently zoned RMF 24, which CS would actually allow this property, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, to be built a lot closer to the road than it currently would be under RMF 24. Is that right?
24 is form-based.
I believe, well, they're both form-based, but I
Oh, they
think, I think I probably was misleading before, not intentionally. But yes, they both can be done that way. I think what the applicant is seeking here is a mix or a mixed use or some commercial opportunity.
Okay,
Or
either way,
flexibility to do either.
I guess my point was that it can currently be developed fairly heavily. So I would say, I don't think we're exacerbating the situation. Given that, I'm going to move that we forward RZN 15-5223 to the City Council with the recommendation of approval.
Madam Chair? could I-
Commissioner Brown.
Yeah, okay. Before we move ahead, and I'm not saying we don't need to move ahead on this, I just wanted to say, I like the CS zoning, the form-based zoning, because it's going to permit the mixed use, and you're going to be able to get your buildings closer to the street, whether they're commercial and or whatever. The concern I have is curb cuts and access to the property. I'm going to vote for the rezoning, but I'm hoping that we're not going to see a lot of curb cuts along, MLK. In fact, I would prefer to see you access the property, and I know it's an engineering challenge, but to access that property from the stoplight, that, going, what's the name of that street?
Yeah.
Stadium, I'm sorry.
But
But if
Commissioner
you
Brown, I think that's really an issue for, we're just talking about rezoning right
No,
now.
I was gonna ask staff, can we put a condition on this?
Oh,
Rezone, no conditions, okay. That's it.
okay, thank you. Okay, we had a motion. Who made it? I forgot. Okay. All right. We had a motion by Commissioner Chesser to forward this on to this rezone request, and a second by Commissioner Autry. Mr. Garner, would you please call the roll?
Autry?
Yes.
Hoskins?
Yes.
Chesser?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes?
Cook?
Yes.
Coughlin?
Yes.
Bunch?
Yes,
Noble?
Yes.
Selby?
Yes.
Motion passes.
thank you. Our next item is rezone 5194. It's for various expired PZD locations. And Mr. Garner, would you please give us